Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking Politics on the Hindu's YouTube channel. I'm Nistula Heppat, political editor of the paper, and like always on Talking Politics, I will be taking you through the big domestic headlines that happened last week, and this week there's always a little bit of overlap. Now, this week was the last session for the 17th Lok Sabha, and it was predictably a political charged event, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi predicting 370 seats for his party, the BJP, in the next general elections. It was a very confident statement to make, which he did on the floor of the Lok Sabha while responding to the discussion, the debate on the motion of thanks to the President for her address to both houses of Parliament. The government also tabled a white paper on the alleged mishandling of the economy under the previous UPA regime for 10 years. And this is the government that preceded the Narendra Modi government. And it will be a major plank. Economy is set to be a major plank in the general elections going ahead. Now, these are fighting words, clearly indicating the contest, as I said. But our episode this week is on something that will change the way Indians in various states will marry, inherit property, engage in various aspects of civic life, and also of rites of passage, and even things like intimacy. Now, the Uttarakhand government on Wednesday, February the 7th, passed the bill on a uniform civil code for the state, and that will be what our episode this week will be all about. Welcome back. As I said, on the 7th of February, Wednesday, the Uttarakhand government introduced or tabled the bill for a uniform civil code in that state, and it found passage through the Assembly. The BJP government there is in a majority, and they found no trouble in clearing that bill. Now, this was one of the three core issues of the BJP since its Jan Sangh avatar. The other two being the abolition of Article 370, which accords special status to the then state of Jammu and Kashmir, and the construction of a Ram temple in Ayodhya. While law commissions in the past have gone through various ways of looking at how this could be ushered in, the Uttarakhand government, after Goa, is one of the first to have a UCC for the state. What is the background for this in terms of legislation and also discussions from the Constituent Assembly downwards? Let's just go and kind of plunge right in. Now, under the Constituent Assembly debates, which is of course the fountainhead of how the Constitution came to being, it's an extremely, the constitutional debates are extremely educative in terms of what the situation was societally and politically at the dawn of India's independence, and how various very tricky questions for this complex country called India was negotiated. Therefore, as and when you all have the time, you all should actually just go through it and have a look at the things that interest you, like how do we come at the language formula on official and languages, which will be the official languages, linguistic reorganization of states, and of course, the civic code, and what happened when there was a call for a uniform civil code. Now, this was discussed ad nauseum in the constitutional debate in the Constituent Assembly, and there was a vote at that time, resulting in a 5-4 majority, where it was decided by a subcommittee, because at that time it was decided that UCC should, it was kind of floated that UCC should be a fundamental right, a uniform civil code, that if I commit a crime, then somebody who belongs to another community also commits a crime, then both of us should be tried under the same acts, that this should be a fundamental right, equality before law. Equality before law was enshrined, but the UCC was not, because there was a subcommittee that was formed, and by a 5-4 majority, this was overturned because it was felt that India, in terms of communities and linguistic groups, caste groups, religion groups, was very, very diverse. Everybody had their customary laws which informed their civic life, civilian life, and that too much interference of the state was not good, especially in terms of justiciable fundamental rights. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who drafted the Constitution, he said that while a UCC was desirable, it should remain voluntary. until the nation was socially prepared to accept it. So you have the Special Marriages Act, where if you're doing an interfaith marriage, etc., you can register your marriage there. Even people who marry within their faith can opt for that. It has certain provisions which talk about inheritance of property and rights, etc., of spouses and children, and also on adoption, etc. So there are people who can opt for that, but there are also customary laws which were still in force. As a result, the UCC was placed in the Directive Principles of State Policy, and in matters of personal law, it is in the concurrent list of the Constitution, which means that the state and central governments both can make laws on it. Now, as I said before, the Law Commission of India was also engaged with the subject in 2018. A Law Commission report stated that the UCC was neither necessary nor desirable at this stage, because from what the Law Commission gathered from society in general was there was no societal acceptance for giving up of customary laws by various communities. It also suggested that reforms in personal laws should be done by amendments and not by replacement. So this was the finding of the 2018 Law Commission report. Recently, a 22nd Law Commission of India committee has also chosen to seek opinions and suggestions of the general public as well as recognized religious organizations regarding the UCC. The Standing Committee on Law of the Parliament also went into the question recently, where it found that tribals should be kept out of the purview of any potential UCC, since tribals are an extremely socially and economically marginalized community, and that any interference in terms of this UCC will end their unique society and culture. So all of this happened in the background of Uttarakhand bringing in its bill. Uttarakhand bill right off the bat also excludes tribals in that state. So when all of this happened and the BJP with its three core issues saw that this was the situation, the High Command kind of decided that rather have an overarching UCC from the central level applicable across the country, states where the party was in power would attempt to bring it in. Now, Uttarakhand has been the first. We've been told that other states also will follow. And when Uttarakhand decided, it was also part of the election promises that were made by the Dhami government that elect us back, we will bring a UCC. So what are the main aspects of the bill, which has just been passed by the Uttarakhand Assembly? Well, multiple stories filed by my colleague Ishita Mishra, who has been right on top of this story, have gone into the specific provisions of the bill that was tabled in the Uttarakhand Assembly and its passage there. Now, under the UCC, marriage will only take place between one man and one woman. So there goes gay marriage. There's nothing there for same-sex marriages. Now, special attention has been paid to the rights of children and their protection, whether legitimate or illegitimate. The legal age for girls to marry has been set at 18 years of age, and for boys at 21 years of age. In matters related to divorce, men and women will have the same rights for taking divorce. So therefore, this will end triple talaq and practices like halala, iddat, etc. In the UCC, if a person is found committing halala, there is a provision of 3 years imprisonment or a fine of rupees 1 lakh or both. If one person in a married couple changes his religion or her religion without the consent of the other person, then the aggrieved person will have the full right to divorce the spouse and take full maintenance. The bill prohibits another marriage if one of the spouses is alive, and even if you change religion. That is, since polygamy is allowed under the Muslim personal law, there are a lot of people from other communities who take advantage of this and convert or show that they have converted to Islam and then take a second spouse. That is not allowed in this under this UCC. The UCC bill also makes it mandatory to register marriage and divorce, failing which the couple concerned will be deprived of the benefits of all government facilities. In case of a divorce or domestic dispute, between a husband and wife, the custody of the child up to 5 years of age will remain with the mother, notwithstanding anything else in the law. Now, the bill also has stringent provisions for failure to register live-in relationships. Now, this has become a big talking point. Live-in relationships or common law sort of relationships, if a couple doesn't register their live-in status with the district administration within a month, they can face a maximum punishment up to 3 months. Also, if live-in partners share any false information, now this is directly aimed at the BJP's own campaign against what it terms as love jihad, that is, members of Muslim community basically marrying Hindu girls, converting them, etc. And social problems arising in girls' families have also a lot of the times have gone to the police and tried for intervention, etc. And BJP has taken it up as a big issue. Now, if that happens, if there is false information during the registration, that if you haven't disclosed, all the information that is desired in that form, you will face an imprisonment of up to 3 months and a fine not exceeding 25,000 or both. Now, the registrar also forwards live-in relationship statements to the local police and informs parents if either partner is under 21. Partners, so you can marry at 18 for girls, but you can't have a live-in relationship before you're 21 years of age. Blankly, this is what it means. Partners can terminate the relationship by submitting a statement to the official and providing a copy to their partner. Termination of these relationships will also be reported to the police. Now, the Uttarakhand government has been saying that this will make it easier for live-in couples to kind of get rent agreements, etc., etc. But there has been a lot of noise about invasion of privacy with regard to this specific provision. Also, the children born out of a live-in relationship will be considered a legitimate child of the couple under UCC. Now, this can't go down well with conservative elements of society because of issues related to inheritance of patrimony and of parental property, etc. I'm sure it's going to fall into the crosshairs of the conservative elements as well. Now, in the code, equal rights to property have been given to sons and daughters of all classes. Also, no distinction has been made between legitimate and illegitimate children, adopted children, children born through surrogacy, and children born through assisted reproductive technology are also considered to be the biological children of the couple. After the death of a person, his wife and children are given equal rights in his property, and also the deceased parents are also given equal rights in his or her property. Whereas in the old laws, only the mother had rights in the property of the deceased. As I said, this has created a lot of furor across the country because there are a lot of states which have a BJP government in place. There is a feeling that this is going to be taken as a model law and implemented in the maximum number of states in India. Asaduddin Owaisi of the All India Majlis Ittihadul Muslimin was one of the first outspoken critics of the UCC, and he posted on X, formerly Twitter, that the Uttarakhand UCC bill is nothing but the Hindu code applicable for all because it removes polygamy and gives certain rights to women of divorce, etc. So he said that this bill is nothing but a Hindu code applicable for all. Firstly, Hindu undivided family has not been touched. Now, Hindu undivided family, or HUF, is in the Hindu Code bill, and it's about mainly the disposal and maintenance of property, and it gives some tax benefits, etc., to members of the Hindu community who claim it under the HUF. So that has not been touched, and that is one of the reasons why Owaisi says this is a Hindu code bill, code act, which has been made applicable to everybody. So if you want, he said, if you want a uniform law for succession and inheritance, why are Hindus kept out of it? Can a law be uniform if it doesn't apply to the majority of your state? Is what he said. Now, many liberal quarters as well as legal luminaries have pointed out that the Supreme Court had ruled a few years ago that privacy was a fundamental right. The state has no business regulating intimate relationships between consenting adults. This directly relates to what was there about live-in relationships, registration of them, of live-in relationships, and even of breakups that happen. You have to register it with the state. So the state has no business, according to the Supreme Court, regulating intimate relationships between consenting adults. And what makes this provision worse is the penal consequence a couple may end up facing for not getting the relationship registered. Now, Rebecca John, a very, very well-known lawyer, has termed it an appalling provision of the UCC of Uttarakhand. Now, the UCC has always been looked at with suspicion by minority communities, as personal laws are protected currently under various codes in the constitution, and any attempt to change it is seen as an encroachment on the customary laws and rights under the right to religion. India is a complex country with the multitude of communities with their own unique cultural and modus vivendi. Having said that, India is a sovereign, politically coherent unit, and differences in what is legal for one community and illegal for another also needs to be addressed. Added to all of this is also the question of how far is the government allowed to enter aspects of life, like in the case of the live-in provisions, which are unlegislated currently and perhaps do not need that kind of legislation. I'm convinced that even though the BJP aims to push the UCC via the various state governments that it is currently in control of, this is not the last we have heard in terms of a legal challenge to the Uttarakhand government's UCC. This is all I have for you this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week.